perfect. Shit!
Let's talk about Marvel's Avengers. Now, from the get-go, I didn't agree with the direction that Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics took with this project. I personally wish for an open-world multiplayer experience similar to what we've seen from the upcoming Batman Arkham Knights, and I also felt that the game leaned a bit too much in the Avengers cinematic universe, and I was worried that they would use the success of the films as a crutch to carry the story. Now, at first glance, it's easy to dismiss Marvel's Avengers as just another button-mashing beat-em-up with gameplay as shallow as its story, but that assessment isn't 100% correct, and I want to start by discussing the best and most surprising aspect of Marvel's Avengers, its story. I don't think anyone, including myself, should feel guilty for anticipating a flop in terms of this game's campaign. Square Enix focused so much on post-launch content and players' multiplayer experiences that they forgot to tell us just how good the campaign is. It's a story that infuses elements from Marvel Comics but remixes them to create an entirely original campaign. The quick version is during Avengers Day, a celebration created to honor the Avengers. An explosion not only levels the city of San Francisco, but also unleashes Terrigen gas, infecting citizens and giving them superpowers. The Avengers are blamed, and AIM, or Advanced Idea Mechanics, seizes the opportunity to blanket cities in lockdown surveillance due to fear spreading across the country. The Avengers essentially split up, and the bulk of the story is getting them back together. Now, while the most obvious choice might be letting players take control of Tony Stark or Bruce Banner to begin this journey to reassemble, Crystal Dynamics made an extremely smart decision to let players experience this adventure through Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel. And I can't stress enough how good of a choice this was. Not only are they introducing players to a fairly new Marvel superhero who was just first introduced 7 years ago, but also fans are able to experience the larger-than-life Avengers personas from the perspective of an outsider. In the game's opening, as you walk through booths gawking at Avengers memorabilia, Kamala can't help but exude her joy and excitement as a huge fan of the Avengers. And if you're a fan of Marvel and the Avengers, which I'm guessing you are if you plan on picking this game up, you will not be able to stop yourself from smiling along with her. The team did an amazing job with Kamala, and it allows us to live vicariously through her, being able to experience the utter shock and awe of being among Earth's mightiest superheroes instead of just putting players into one of their shoes. The game starts to pick up 5 years after the events of A-Day, as Kamala Khan is part of a resistance fighting back against AIM, as she tries to piece together exactly what happened on that day and find a way to get the Avengers back together. While some of the story beats and dialogue feel a bit cliched, you can kind of see what's coming around the corner. The campaign shines throughout with huge action-packed set pieces that wouldn't feel out of place in a Marvel film. Crystal Dynamics understands that the appeal of those films is taking these complicated relationships between our heroes and playing them out, not only with a necessary weight, but also injecting humor, and they were able to capture that Marvel magic throughout the campaign. The dialogue, while a bit cheesy at times, captures each Avenger's individual voices and nuances really well, and the all-star voice cast that Crystal Dynamics assembled do an amazing job bringing these comic book characters to life. While there are big names such as Troy Baker as Bruce Banner, Nolan North as Tony Stark, and Laura Bailey as Black Widow, Sandra Saad as Kamala Khan was the standout. Whether it was squealing with excitement over fighting side by side with the Avengers or struggling with her newfound powers and identity, Sandra delivered an amazing performance. In cutscenes, the hyper-detailed player models take center stage and work hand in hand with very accurate lip syncing to keep players enthralled in the story, although there were instances of textures not loading properly, but they were few and far between. I also encountered a few glitches along the way, nothing game-breaking, but there are a few audio and visual hitches. The campaign can only be played solo and takes about 10 to 12 hours to complete. While you start playing as Miss Marvel, you will take control of the Avengers as the story unfolds. Each hero has unique movesets, powers, and navigation mechanics that make it easy to discover who your favorite really is. No one Avenger feels weaker than another, they just have varied playstyles. Navigation will be the biggest advantage that some heroes have, as flying between objectives with Iron Man or Thor is much more enjoyable than sprinting. Each hero has access to light and heavy attacks along with a ranged attack. They're also equipped with an intrinsic ability mapped to the R2 button that acts as a parry and a way to increase stats such as damage. While the combat looks shallow on the surface, it actually begins to open up once you learn new techniques and combine different moves and abilities. And making each hero fit your playstyle is one of the selling points of this game. Now during combat, I did have some frame drops when the action got a little hectic, but I played this on a standard PS4, so your experience may differ depending on your platform choice. Now each hero has a massive skill tree with close to 100 different upgrades you can spend skill points on, but while some of them unlock new moves or modifiers to existing ones, others are merely stat buffs that don't feel like a substantial upgrade. A skill reset feature is also sorely missing, so if you wanted to change your hero's playstyle further down the line, you won't be able to, so choose your upgrades wisely. Along with that, the game has a gear system ranging from uncommon up to legendary, but I didn't find the loot system to be compelling enough for the long haul. You also swap gear frequently enough that getting down to a desired build is something that will only be utilized hours into the endgame. I was actually happy to see that the game had a feature where I could press L2 and automatically equip the best gear so I could get back into the game. You can also power boost gear in order to increase its effectiveness, but you cycle through pieces at such a rapid rate, I never saw the need to do this. You can also acquire new gear via in-game shops, but I didn't find any of the gear they offered to be drastically different from the ones you find in chests littered throughout the game. On top of all of that, none of the pieces you equip introduces a cosmetic change to your hero, further decreasing the desire to pursue rare gear. Now this is something Crystal Dynamics can improve post-launch, and we've seen many examples of these types of games launching with a lackluster loot system only to get better as time passed. Also, the menu system for your hero stats is so cluttered with information and elements that I could see it being overwhelming to gamers who are not used to this level of character management. Now once you complete the campaign, Marvel's Avengers has a massive endgame. Along with dozens of collectibles such as comic books, you can level up faction alliances via challenges and play various missions along with up to 3 friends or strangers via matchmaking. You can still tackle these missions solo with 3 AI controlled companions, but one of the weirdest omissions in the game is that it doesn't allow you to swap between heroes during a mission. If you encounter an objective better suited for Iron Man, you can't swap to the Iron Man you brought with you, which just doesn't make sense. Unfortunately, these missions don't have the same cinematic care and character development as a campaign, and while the outdoor areas feel varied, most of the indoor sequences feel recycled. And so are the mission objectives, which repeat some of the same ones from the campaign, such as keep robots away from this area for a period of time, or kill all of these robots, or destroy these generators while destroying the robots. I just wish they would have brought more iconic villains from the comics into the game, as the enemies just seem to escalate from robot to bigger robot, and even when you encounter villains on these missions, it's either Abomination or Taskmaster from the campaign. The game has iconic hero missions, but they don't further that hero's development or dive into their backstory, and some, like Ms. Marvel's, are simply completing items on a checklist, which was really disappointing to see. Mission and enemy variety gets really old really fast, and therein lies the Marvel Avengers conundrum. Making your way through waves of enemies with friends can be fun, but in order to really get your money's worth from Marvel's Avengers, you have to really, and I mean really, love that repetitive loop. It is a grind, but if that's your thing, there's a lot to do. Along with seeking new gear and completing missions, you'll be powering up your hero's power levels and skill trees along with completing challenge cards, which are Marvel Avengers' version of a battle pass, which brings me to the last thing I wanted to talk about. Microtransactions. Now, I've seen a lot of gamers across the net slam Square Enix for making this game microtransaction heavy, but once you understand the economy and their post-launch plans, it's actually not evil at all. It's a bit complicated, but if you're smart about it, you'll never have to open your wallet even after new heroes are added. And if you think for $60 you're getting half a game with the expectation of spending more to fully enjoy it, you'd be wrong. See, each of the 6 heroes you unlock in the game has a premium hero challenge card, comprised of 40 levels that unlock exclusive emotes, skins, takedown animations, and nameplates along the way. 200 points are needed in order to fully complete a hero's challenge card, and points only come in the form of daily and weekly challenges. That means if you completed challenges every day, along with the weekly challenge, it can take up to a month to complete a card for a single character, as these challenges are character specific. Now the game does have an in-game currency called credits, where 100 credits is equal to $1 real-world dollar, but the game never pesters you to spend money. All content in the game is purely cosmetic, and the only reason to purchase credits is if you want every single cosmetic available. The closest thing to a pay-to-win mechanic is you can pay to skip levels on a hero's challenge card, but it would cost $40 to skip the entire thing. Now as you play the game, you will organically acquire new emotes, takedown animations, and nameplates, and the game is pretty generous. Each hero has about 20 skins to unlock, and they can be acquired in various ways, such as spending units, which is an in-game currency acquired throughout the game that cannot be bought with real money, or with a fabrication machine where you can decipher patterns you find in missions. Now there are skins and items available exclusively in the marketplace that you can only buy with credits, but there are ways to earn credits in-game. They're awarded on certain levels in a challenge card, which means completing a card nets you 1,300 credits. Complete all 6 challenge cards and you have 7,800 credits to spend. And while I will admit some items are a bit pricey, such as 1,400 credits for a skin and 1,200 for a takedown, I never felt like the game was forcing me to buy anything. Now there has also been a bit of criticism regarding Square Enix's post-launch plans, but I think they're 100% wrong. Every post-launch hero, along with introductory missions and new areas, will be completely free. Each hero added post-launch will also have a challenge card to earn free rewards, but in order to unlock the premium stream of rewards, which as I said earlier are free with the initial 6, it will cost you $10. But the cards can be purchased with 1,000 in-game credits. And once you complete that card, you will earn back those 1,000 credits, which means if you're smart with this in-game currency, you never have to spend $1. Now I have no doubt Square Enix will try their best to add amazing skins and emotes to that marketplace in order to compel you to spend credits, but it's all purely cosmetic. Look, overall, the game looks and plays great outside of really busy fights where the frame rate sometimes crawls. I love the campaign, and Kamala Khan is definitely one of my favorite video game protagonists this year, and I feel like her inclusion in this game will have a massive impact on viewership for our upcoming Disney Plus show. Although I really enjoyed the story, the post-campaign loop just isn't for me, as it became repetitive very fast. I'm just not a fan of that core replay missions, super grinded out, play every day to knock out challenges, gear comparing looting kind of guy. That doesn't mean this game is bad. That sounds like fun to you. You'll be playing this game for quite some time, especially with post-launch heroes and missions being added as time passes, and playing with a group of friends is a blast. If you're a fan of the Avengers and that grindy type of experience sounds like something fun to you, I have no doubt you should pick this up. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below. You can also subscribe to the Camp Koji podcast on your platform of choice. I will be discussing Marvel's Avengers a bit more in depth on the next episode, so be sure to check that out. Thanks.